is right next to it the Ankh that I've keyed in, right? And that led me to start to play with it, and this is what I found. So if you want to go to the next one, Nathan.
It's all in the seal.
There you go.
Yeah. It's like the whole they knew and we're trying to figure it out. So now you could see literally the alpha inside of the omega in this structure that keys up with all of its main and symmetrical attributes. Okay.
I just have to state that the exact same symbols in geometry are used in modern masonry as well, with the pillars of Boaz and the sun right above, where
Absolutely.
like it's exact same.
So yeah, so this is directly tied esoterically to the Jewish Kabbalah, the Tree of Life. It's also tied directly to Masonry, all of their teachings, like them or don't like them, being secondary to the idea that the Bible says all these same things. You're just using different mouth sounds, to describe what's going on. But again, the alpha and the omega is directly present in the glyph, directly next to the Ankh. Okay, so that's where this is. So if you want to go to the next one.
Sorry, give me 1 second. This one?
Yep, cool. So here we just have the alpha omega, and then realization of the fact that that is directly analogous to the 369, Rodin.
Yeah, the Rodin.
With the Rodin, right. So this is the Tesla Rodin 369. Without flaw, he's exactly, directly, and perfectly because it is the same.
Oh my God, I just had a vision of why it's how the energy enters back into the center of the torus, right? Like it's how it's breaking the outer field and entering back into itself through that.
Bro, you just wait. You just wait. This is part one. Wait till you see it keyed, bro. Yeah. Okay. On to the next. Okay, so this is now not full development. Okay, but this is with the Ankh keyed in. All right, in one side. All right, so what you see is that you have the primary counter-rotational axes. All right, so takes the one vector, turning it into two counter-rotational, two parts. Okay, the two in their crossing create the third, the ignition of the 3 and the 6 to pulse to the 9. Okay, but where does it cross that initiates the sequence? Well, it crosses at 4.5. Okay, so what ends up happening is by virtue of the creation of the 4.5 and the 9 is the creation of the third vector via the two vectors. Okay, what this does is it takes them from, which we talked about in the RAV. Okay, so I'm going to make the comparison now. All right, it takes them from a parallel state of counter rotation and crosses them, okay, to a 45 degree, okay, because that's the relationship as they turn parabolic. Okay, so once they turn into that parabolic state, well, your 9 pulses down, creating the third vector to the 4.5. 4.5 drops all the way down, okay? It reaches the end, and that's generally where this ends. But here's where the Ankh keys in, is that rather than just be cyclical through the center, you bring the inside out, okay? So what you're doing here is here, go back for 1 second. You're taking the 4.5, okay, which is directly the center point between 4 and 5, okay,
equal 9,
and because it was created of the 3-6 pulse, okay, it's perfectly in resonance but slightly out of phase at a different value, aka a different frequency, okay. Well, it comes back down, but then splits off back, riding along with the 4-5. Okay, Now the 4, 5 are about to cross again, and where do they cross? Right where it came. Get it? So they're hitching a ride in resonance, sovereign to themselves, interacting with themselves at the meeting point of it all. Okay? Creating a scalar vector. So you have a magnetic component, a current component, and a scalar component. The scalar component is going to blast out, except it's in resonance with that which created it, which is about to bang into that current vector of the 3 and the 6. It's going to ride up with the 3 and the 6 to the 9 and continue the cycle. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This is creating a valve. Okay?
Yeah.
Your 9 is still pulsing to that 4.5 all the way to the end without interference. Okay? But the counterflow that comes in at a 45-degree angle into that interactive point, okay, is creating no ability for the reverse flow to occur. So there's total coherence. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and mirror this. So if you want to find one that's mirrored. Okay, hold on. Before we move on, this is what it looks like when you key the Ankh in that fashion into the Alpha Omega. It is the all-seeing eye. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the drop too, sucking back in that 4, 5 bottom vortex.
All right, Nathan, move on though, because wait, there's more. I feel like Billy Mays, but not my beard's like not as black though. All right, so
Nice.
this is exactly what I just explained, except it's all numbered out. Okay, so you actually see that it rides up back to the 9 on the 3.5, 6.5 axis. So you have all the ratios of the relationships that you can calculate very simply with like simple math. Okay. Move on.
Sorry. Looking for the right one, Joe.
What's up, Mike, by the way? All right.
Not too much. Just hanging.
Yeah, man. Right on. So, all right. So here's what we see now of just the Omega, Alpha Omega. Okay, superimposed on top of each other. So this is probably something that you've seen maybe before. Okay. But maybe not in this context of either the Rodin scale or the Alpha Omega scale. Okay, but you've seen this shape before. All right. Ironically, it's the same as the Kagome lattice, which has all of the modulating polar shift abilities. Okay, which this also has, so bear that in mind. But again, this is not with the Ankh keyed in. This is just the sequence of it being mirrored in inverse. So you could actually look at your interaction lines and know exactly what the relationship is based on the number and the where it's vectoring. All right, and continue.
A key part is that the red is the hot explosive and the blue is the endothermic cold going back on itself. And there's a question of once it's in, how does it get back out? It's the
you're about to see, yo, that's the next one, bro. It's the next slide. It's the next slide. Yo, I love this that you just answered. Right? You just asked that. How does it keep in? That's how you key the Ankh. You see what happens? It redistributes the center pulse, okay, which again is 180 out of phase, all right, and also of a resonant frequency, but not the same as the hot side, okay, or the blue or the the blue side, right? Well, it hitches a ride back on the blue side to scalar out. Okay, and then hitch a ride back on the hot side to recycle. Now, here's the thing, and this is the key. Okay, this is why the Ankh is the key, and this is why the key is the key. Okay, is that you have 2 9s, 2 4.5s. Okay, 2 scalars opposite of one another, creating a null zone in the center. Except this is no ordinary null zone because it is upper dimensionally solid. It
Yeah,
added that.
it's like
Uh-huh.
the 0 point, or like the actual what the hell is this? Where the dimensions flow back in upon themselves from the lowest to the highest and are rematerializing.
So exactly what we were talking about again, how I tied it into Fibonacci. Okay. This is exactly that same reverse circumstance, but reversed twice. So it's coalescing, and it's breaking down and building up twice. All right. And what created the check valve on one side, okay, where it could flow this way or that way, but not in, okay, exists here. And what that creates is, because it's sealed off from the rest of everything through its upper dimensional check valve, all right, you have a ground state.
What keeps it solid?
You have a ground state.
It's grounded.
So you've broken locality because you no longer need an external relationship.
Your field is the ground. Like, you've created a field that is a ground, essentially.
You create a well in your null zone. See, your null zone under normal circumstances, okay, it works toroidally as the intermediate spot between compression and decompression. Okay. But what this is doing is allowing the compression decompression to happen and flow in from both directions, but have no leakage out, because it is a check valve, because of the scalar deconstructive return that occurs at the point of interaction from that which it's manifest. Okay, because you have a different angle of interaction, okay, it works like a filter in terms of, if you want to think about it like polarization. Okay, right? You have it facing this way, you get one kind of light. This way, another kind of light. You hold it on the 45, you're losing half of both.
Yeah, like a crystal. If one way it can be a mirror, reflect everything, the other way it is see through and it passes through, or it can third angle, it can be completely absorption, because it casts a shadow on itself between the mirror and the reflection of the clear. It's right there.
You're on the point. So what's the significance of having your own self-contained ground state? Well, that means that you can, because you have everything separate, okay, you have the hot and the cold separate, you have the rotations separate, you have the vectoring is all, every form of electromagnetism manifest in the field geometry. Because mind you, this isn't coil geometry necessarily. This is field geometry, okay? When you have your fields that run in all these ways, okay, you quickly realize that having that ground state is the ability to pull out of it, use and return, pull out, use and return. And the more you need, the more you pull, and the more you pull, the more it goes, and the more it pumps. And that's just how it goes, because it's working off of a bucket. It's allowing for the energy to reach a state of, we'll call it, it's not, but we're going to call it, we're allowing the energy to reach a state of rest potential, okay, before re-entering the system. And the draw is the differential between the positive and the negative, and the hot and the cold. And that separation acts as the pulling force to keep the entire thing going. Now, so once you have a load pulled off, and Nathan and I kind of went back and forth before a little bit about maybe I need to think about this more. I'm not saying I'm right. But the idea here for me was that you could actually pull energy off of the 4.5 mark of this particular field. Okay. Basically, that's the water coming out of the hose before it fills the bucket.
But you have to do it at a 90 degree or 180 degree out of phase of the inner wave of it.
I think you missed the part, Joe. This thing is 180 degrees out of phase. It's like
It
two
is
separate
100
coils. It's like two separate coils, 180 degrees out of phase, and the inside is the null zone or the still zone of a tornado. It's where all the energy is, but none of the everything else. You know what I mean? It's still, but it has all the energy.
So in this particular example, we'll say that there's a tornado at the top and the bottom, okay? But the center in between the 4.5 marks, okay, everything in between those 4.5 marks is just a bucket. And what is so if you think about it like water, it starts to make a lot of sense, right? If you fill the bucket with water and the water is running straight through whatever, it's keeping the cycle going, okay? But the where it comes in at the top, okay, if you siphon off of that and the system's full and stable, right? You siphon off of that and then you use it, but it's all in resonance, so you're not having losses because you've broken locality. So you're not having the resistance and hysteresis losses that you would have otherwise, okay? Because it's all in resonance and it's already separate pieces, right? You're bringing it, you're using it, okay, cool. It did whatever its function was, and you return it. But where do you return it? See, you can't return it back to the system. You have to return it back to the well. All right, because what you borrow, you must put back, or else the system is not full. Okay, and what you borrow, you have to put back into a state of stillness and potential, because if you put it back, it's like connecting a fucking running hose to another hose section where it would be totally incoherent and blow the entire thing apart. It wouldn't function, right? Because whatever just got used out through that or through the ass end of it is not the same as what's the purity of what's going in. It's already gone through multiple processes, right? So it needs to be able to go back into the bucket to then find its way to be reused, if you want to think about it like that. But what's the bucket? Why is there a surplus? It's because of capacitance. It has a certain capacitance value. So when you're taking off of it, as long as you ramp up everything slowly in your initial phase of tapping off of your energy from your 0 point energy source, right? As long as you ramp that up in a way that doesn't overwhelm the capacitance, it'll stay full. Okay? Because it has, it'll stay full. So this is the same exact reason why when you're looping something and you're not seeing energy losses, that the only way to use the extra energy that you find is to dump it off into a battery before you use it or something like that, because you can't use it straight off the source. You'll create incoherence.
Now, I just want to throw this out there. I gave Joe the analogy. This is what Gerald does. To do two coils 180 degrees out, it creates a center point that's a 0 point, which creates all the energy inside of it. You could tap out of the center coil all you want, but you cannot change the loop system that's going on, that's going back and forth doing work for free, like Floyd Sweet, all day long in resonance. That's why it's important that it must have a load on it in order to pull it through faster. Without the load, it doesn't work, and you must have capacitors on both ends for balance. It's a lot of the same stuff.
It's dead on. And that's why I was saying that you don't pull from the well, okay? Because the well,
It's full.
right? If you pull from the well,
take from the
it's just
wave
emptying
on
it, allowing
top
it to
of the
dump
well.
in at a different rate, but it won't necessarily fill at a different rate. If you pull from the end of the line, right before it enters into the well, if you pull from there, okay, all you're doing is pulling it through the system faster and harder if that's what you need. So the more that you add, the faster it pulls. The more that it sucks, the more that it goes, because it's contained. And that's
the more
it.
that it sucks, the more that someone blows. I don't know.
The more that it sucks, the more that it blows, right? And again, because you're not having, and guess what? Systems like this wouldn't even necessarily be lost less, but their state of diffusion would be so low, that once you commit to the fact that you have some sort of power supply that can be regenerated by virtue of itself, okay? but you have to have some external power supply to actually run the thing in the first place. Okay. It still falls into the locality that you just broke. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Okay. But the primary function of building it up to the point where it grows to be this level of efficiency, okay, has to be from an external source of energy. See? Then that
Well-
external source of energy can continuously run this thing. Okay, said and done. Okay, but you don't make that connection until it's already up and going. And that's okay, because again, that's just creating a second well out, like that's still connected to the system. It's just throwing another yin into the yin yang. You know what I mean? It's just that's all it is at that point.
Well, you pull it from the battery to start it, and then you pull out of the center of it without connecting to anything, and you pull that into a capacitor, then back into a battery, and you can loop the system all day. They'll never drain the batteries out. Not if
Never,
you do it right.
ever.
No.
As long as you change the symmetry, you can loop it no problem.
Yeah.
But the symmetry has to be changed.
So that is the symmetry change, by the way, is the battery, because everything else is symmetrical. Okay, so once you bring that you find the asymmetrical equilibrium points, which you could do using the nodes that are plotted out on the chart itself, you could actually sit there and hook your battery up to the correct locations in the circuit to get it going in the first place. And that's where the asymmetry comes in, because it's not going to be in the expected spots all the time. You know, and I don't know. That's my 2 cents on it, I guess, if that's 2 cents.
I'd say that's a good 3, and I got a 4th to throw in, and maybe a 5th of some random, but parallel in many sense. If you want to pull it up, Nathan, of well, you'll see when. There we go. So again, with the color coordination, the how the numbers map out, but more than that one, there is this.
Yeah, that one was going in a 1:6:2 ratio.
Yeah, sorry. Here we go. So this one is good for showing the out of dimensional phase of the blue to the red to the green, that it's actually like you can see them as cubes, but that one side is 90 degrees to the other, and it's on a 1 degree or one dimensional plane, right? So they can be or they are the same planes on a cube, but they're in the opposite faces
Yep.
of it.
Yeah, they're out of phase slightly.
Exactly, but they're in phase in that they're making up the same cube and in the same proportions, and then that is how you have the different wave interactions depending on their
So that's a
energy.
great point, by the way, that the fact that they are both in phase and out of phase simultaneously is exactly the phenomena that I described, okay, that exists with the creation of the third vectors. Because what happens is you go from a 9 count to a 10 count when you introduce the +1, okay, and that I stand by that logic. And what you notice is that anything that's divisible, that's a 9 as a I'm going to screw up my friggin' simple math terms. Quotient, I guess, right? 9 is a quotient that over 1 as a sum or whatever it is, right? Like is it's whole, okay, in terms of its fraction. Whereas under it's infinite, okay? But 10 is the inverse of that. So, you end up with this inverse relationship between 9 and 10 that switches at the value of 1. I don't know, but that's sort of how I've looked at it. That's why I never consider a whole value of a whole to necessarily be 1. because then what that allows is for asymmetric equilibrium, expanding the ability to fit new fraction sets into coherence. So that's where, when I talked about Tesla 369, I was talking about the relationship between 0.666 and 0.144. Okay. What falls dead in the center of them is Schumann's resonance, 7.83. And that's considering that a whole is a sum of two. So, I'm not a mathematician or anything, but like these are, you play with these concepts and then you figure it out.
So I got another one up that shows the other portion of what you were talking about, because you just described the 369. Here we have the others adding up to the nines, and there's your 4, 5 in the center. But the 1 and the 8 and the 2 and the 7, how they reflect and their interactions of the energies. And the inverse pump or part of the action or reaction.
Dead on, man. There's a relationship between them that based on the angle of interaction, exactly. That is inverse and equal, right? It's inverse and equal. And, although every part of it's important, the switch points are probably the most important. So when you're talking about the 4 and the 5, are those transitional switch points.
And that's where you switch your dimensional angle of energy interactions.
Right. And let me ask you this logically. Remember what I just said about the 9 count transitioning to the 10 count by the extra vector? Follow what's going on here, right? 4 goes to the 8 is double, and 5 goes to the 1. And what is the 1 in that circumstance when it makes that connection to create the third vector? 10. See?
And it's got
the 9 count goes to the 10 count, the creation of the third vector. That's it. It's all mathematically sound, we
see the shapes right here, the squares with the different colors and mandalas. They show that
exactly.
all day long.
That's what it is. The mandalas are this encoded energy mapping, and that's what it's doing. That's why we have, hold on, we'll find it quickly. Right, come on. Just looking at it now, I can't find it. Son of a... But the ohm, right? The ohm cymatic. Here we go. I got it. I found it. We have a visual coming up. There and here of the mandalas, right? They were programming. They knew what it was. That's why it was metal foils of gold and silver in between the grains of sand, which is quartz and silica. And then you're resonating that ohm sound into that actual mandala of it that is its cymatic frequency. Oh, so it was called a tonoscope before. Tonoscope, same as cymatic. And there you go, right? That how is ohm? And it's not labeled here, but this is the ohm. So, there it is, sound of ohm. And that's your Om Shri Mantra mandala. How did they know? Because they were already programmed in that.
Well, and there's certain tones and frequencies that are going to respond to that, and then other tones and frequencies that are going to alternatively and counter respond to that. So you could actually control your propagation, okay, based on the tone that you're giving. Because once you induce the resonance of those tones into that conductor, it's either going to push or pull.
Right, and there's your initial pumps of the hot and cold that are 90 degrees of each other, and then there's the third that's the additional out of phase, but just showing how the numbers actually how it's a much greater coding and geometry and essentially numerical quantum or geometric coding system that exists, and it's how energy flows. And within the numbers, you have hot and cold, and the infinite oscillation between the two.
For certain. I mean, once you realize that numbers are really just ways to derive relationship between things, and you stop thinking them as like a count, you know, you start to understand what the relationships actually are. But the way that we use numbers as human beings for a very practical sense of day-to-day life. But when you're looking at mathematics, it's all just about the relationship between the numbers, and not only what relationship exists from one to the other, but what is in between. Okay, and there's very, very, very fascinating things to be found in between, because that's where your fractions ultimately lie most of the times. So again, it comes down to not what's measurable and seen, but what isn't.
By the way, that square pattern shows up on the oscilloscope in a three-dimensional tube. It goes like this, and then they all cross the lines like that. As soon as you blur out your oscilloscope, it shows up perfectly, and it only shows up in resonance.
That's amazing.
There's your layering of modes too, which is
exactly right.
Well, it's missing a scalar vector, but yeah.
Well, the scalar is the third.
Well, yeah, but that's cyclical.
Your original vector is the first dimension going forward. Then you have the heat wave going.
Oh, I didn't see. You know what? It's very small on my screen. I didn't see the arrow going up. That is your scalar vector, correct?
Yes, sir. It's all divine proportions. And the alchemists knew.
Beautiful. All related. Hey, Bernie, I know you said that you wanted to see the color interactions.
Yeah.
Maybe Nathan could pull that up. I sent it to you so you could explore it more and we could talk about it, and then, present it at another time too, because it's going to be hard. But Nathan, would you mind putting up like one of the black background ones with like the colors just generally? And I'll tell you what I did, so that way you can, again, interpret it as you may. Okay. All right. So what I did here, so you understand, okay, is it's the same thing with the Ankh, okay, except I made the colors, okay, relevant to what is doing. All right. So for instance, 1, 2, 4, okay, is red. Okay, then the 4 to 8 is orange. The 8, 7, 5 is yellow, and then the 5 to 1 is orange. Okay, so you see what I did there, right? And then you have blue, okay, for just your the 3, 6 vector, okay, and then you have purple for the for the center vector in the Ankh, okay. So that's what that was. Then what I did was that was only on one side. Okay, now when I threw it 180 degrees out of phase, and reversed it, I also photo negative the colors. Okay, and what that does is truly shows you the relationship. Okay, because if you're trying to visualize this, it's not enough to just inverse the visual aid that's broken down in colors just based on this part, that part. You need to see the different parts broken down, but then inversed onto themselves. And what you end up seeing is the interaction as it really is. And what you end up seeing is that what was red on this side, well, a lot of it turned orange. A lot of it turns orange. Why? Because it's in equilibrium. And if this was a perfect diagram, and I will make a perfect diagram, I just didn't have time, where you see the overlays perfect, the entire thing will turn solid colors because it's in equilibrium. Because once you've inversed it one way, but then you inverse the color also, okay, that's showing you what it falls into. And it'll always fall into the equilibrium state. But you got to mind something. These things are not separate of one another. They are only that way by virtue of combination. There was transparency at work here too that I tried to do, whatever. Like I said, I'll get it worked out properly so you can visualize it. But the idea here is that you're not going to have you're going to have zoning, all right, except it's going to be equilibrium zoning. So the zoning is going to grow out and be major and macroscopic.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And what this key is that you're making and why I'm so understanding and on point with what you're doing is that I will be able to use it as the key of with Walter Russell's periodic tables, and then what octave an element is breaking down to or combining with the atomic masses when phase shifting and doing fusion reactions through the harmonic oscillations. The equilibrium zones that you're speaking of is where the elements or the compounds, whatever is going to turn out, are going to naturally go to. And depending on what color the molecule or the element was to begin with, and then what's coming off of it, you'll be able to calculate exactly what it will become every time on Walter Russell's reaction charts.
Amen.
Nice.
Now, throw this in there. If I were to have done this perfectly, which I did not, okay, with the color interactions, and then you realize that each of these colors also aligns with your chakras, and that the nodal points are also exactly in line with your chakras. What you'll realize is that your green, being your heart chakra, will turn white. Just saying. It's points of interaction. Why? Because everything crosses through that zone. And when you have the point where everything crosses through but does not necessarily interact, and you look at it from an outside perspective, they appear to be mixed, and you would get white out of that equation. So I'm just throwing that one out there. And again, I'll show it better. So
I
it's
get
properly
what
aligned.
I fully get that. And it's the white light that is the full light that you're able to phase shift from one element to another, or one energy or one boundary into another.
When you put this over the earth 8 times, or I should say 4 times doubled, okay, and you put it over the earth like that, the world's population falls in between. Yeah, there you go. And mind you, again, I'm going to say it again, not the scale and not taking into account for the curvatures, okay? So this is not accurate, but you could get an idea, all your population falls right in line with basically the circle where the null zone is and the top. The bottom is far less active because it's in a diffuse state. That's just how that goes. When you look at where certain major intersections of the lines all go, they all approximate major locations on this planet. Washington, D.C., because they knew.
The ley
So
line.
these are the ley lines.
It's all ley lines. Rome, China, and one of the places that came up surprisingly in China was a cave where all these ancient texts were found, and Buddhist texts, but also multi-religion text because they had been using that cave and it had been lost to time. And then they found it, and it was like 1,500 years old, last used when they found it back in like 1900, but it had been used for millennia. And that falls right in the dead center of one of these circles, in the mountains of China, where all these caves are, and certain spots in Japan and stuff like that. Like I said, all these world population centers, the most prosperous places in the world or places of power, all fall on specific lines or very close to that are drawn based on this geometry. And what I found interesting is that what you would predict to be the equator, even though it's asymmetric, is not. Okay. You would, and again, it's out of scale, so it is different, okay, mind you. But you would believe the equator to be the center of the entire reaction, but it's not. The Earth's on a fucking tilt, right? This takes into account the Earth's tilt without even doing it, because that's just how it goes. It doesn't care where the closest point of the sun is. It's caring where the center of the sphere is off the axis. So where you would predict the equator is, it's not. The equator is actually on the bottom scalar line, and just about all humanity population, for the most part, falls within those scalar lines.
Interesting.
It's very interesting. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. There's almost no population aside from Australia, for the most part, that falls outside of the scalar lines. And then Australia, they just have all sorts of weird animals there. So who knows?
Just blame it on that. Yeah. Huh. Bunch of weird stuff going on there. Not
Have
on
weird people too.
That's it. Their toilets flush reverse and upside down.
Yeah.
Oh, take my guns. It's good for me.
Oh,
Yes, Queen.
what would
Oh, wait,
Canada
you're
do
Canadian.
if-
My bad. That was an insult to you, too.
Oh, hold on. What would the Canadians do if those states or whatever fall back down to the U.S.? What do they do to get gun rights? They'd be like all tripped out. They don't have guns in Canada, do they?
Yeah.
Well, we do. You have to
Yeah.
get an FAC license, and then go through the bullshit process of getting a license to carry. But most of it's just for guys that are hunters, right?
And in Alberta, there's a lot of hunters, let me tell you.
Well, we ain't got it 100% straight here yet either. I'm waiting on the Supreme Court to straighten that stuff out because, man, they gave me the long dick of the law straight in the ass.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
Wow. Went from geometry to that. Man, we just
Well, I
Yeah,
got
in a matter of
more geometry
seconds.
to put up.
Hey, listen, man. If there's anything I'm passionate about, it's that. And that was before anything ever happened to me. I'll have to tell that story another day. That's a story for another day. I'm not getting involved in that right now.
Yeah, we'll get back to the colors and the geometry and the chakra if you want to bring up that picture there, Nathan. Yeah,
yeah.
because it kind of ties right in to what I was trying to explain and what Joe was explaining.
You guys have been on for 3 hours.
They have.
I've only
yeah.
been on for 2 in my defense,
Oh, okay.
and Bernie's only been on for 1.
Hey, I was on a 2-hour call with Perone before this. All right,
I get it.
But
Did Perone figure out that the Ankhe's into the Rodin? Anyway,
that's why I came here, because.
yeah, I love you. I'm just breaking chops.
But yeah, we got the sound, we got the octaves, and we got the geometry of it. And this is how
Now,
the
I got a
sound-
question for you guys. I got a question for you guys. Based on, say, a certain tone, like 528 hertz, when you do the cymatics and it makes that the actual image of that frequency, how about building a coil exactly shaped like that to scale?
Yeah, I like the sounds of that.
Well,
Based
I
on
mean,
Okay.
the
yes and
geometry
no,
or
because
the
you got to
energy
remember it's
pattern?
field geometry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so
Nathan.
if you want to bring up this one, I think it ties into it.
But is it the energy pattern or is it the geometry?
The actual energy pattern that it creates when you create that vibration at 528 hertz, it creates that actual image, right?
Yeah,
So if you get like the transducer on the black plate and you pour the salt on it, and then you turn the sound on to 528 hertz, it makes that geometrical pattern. My idea is, why don't you build a coil based on that geometrical shape of 528 hertz?
Well, so that's exactly where what I just presented ties right in, because it has to
Mhm.
do with field geometries, okay? And it's
Right.
giving you a map of the nodal planes that and how they interact. So as long
Right.
as you can control your interaction of the nodal planes through your vectoring, then you
Right.
could create the standing wave patterns that coincide. Um, and it's not fixed. That's the thing about it, is that because it's geometrically higher dimensional, the wave patterns that form, all the nodal planes for the most part, a lot of them fall inside of the internal geometries, right? So
Mhm.
you would just have to vector your energy in the way to create the nodal
That's
planes that you want.
right.
And
Right.
the coil would not, or if that's the context that we're talking, this coil, the coil would not necessarily look exactly like it. It would resemble it, but
Mhm.
probably in a more obscure way.
No,
And
it would,
that's the next part of the puzzle for me.
instead of a geometry coil, you get a dream catcher.
Mm.
They're visualizing the energy in amplification.
Yeah.
That's what the dream catcher is. So instead of doing the geometry portion, you'd get that. But some of the other stuff that you're talking about, because there's little things that show up that are like little circles like this, you know what I mean? Like a little tiny bit, and it does it again, and it does it again. They show up in cymatics. I don't know that you can get that into a coil.
Mm.
Well, that's why I said that this isn't necessarily a
See,
coil
like right here, you
equation;
can
it's
see
a
them.
field geometry equation. So, in certain circumstances, you may need multiple components
Right.
creating their own electromagnetic influence in a interaction zone in
Okay.
order to create the
Or
patterns that are required. So it would become
right.
more of an array as opposed to a
Yeah.
single component.
Right. Right. So take like the image on the left. Okay. So you got
Mhm.
the outside diameter. That would be one circuit signal. And then on the inside, you would probably make those lines starting from the center point out and spider them out all the way around. That would be circuit number two. And then when you turn your frequency generator on, you would use a two channel and you would focus the energy at the same wavelength for both.
I love that idea.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't hate that at all.
hold
I
on.
think I think that what it boils down to is that most of this, if you have two inverse electromagnetic coils, okay, that start off in a current state, right? So there'd have to be a lead that if
Mhm.
you have them facing each other, that's going to create at least the first two vectors to create the third, okay, to then be able to shift the parts around. Then whatever you kind of put in it from there, will fall into sync with at least that initial geometry, because again, the goal is always kind of the same. No matter what geometry you're looking for, it's you need to square the circle, and to square the circle, you need the triangle. So you need all the modes. Once you have all the modes, then you can start moving the pieces around as far as where they're hitting. So all those points at the center that show in the geometry that I drew out with the Rodin stuff and then the Ankh stuff, you could actually move those nodal points all over the place, but you need to have the initial geometric shape before you do that.
Okay, real quick, Bernie, go back several of them. Up there. Where was that picture where we started talking on this subject on? With the 432 and stuff like that.
I think it was that one.
Okay, right there. Go back to the 432.
Okay. There we go.
I just when you see something like that, okay, let me do this because there's a reason to see it. So I'm going to pull that one down and I'm going to put let's see.
Well, while you're doing that, sorry, Eric said something awesome. Eric Kalo.
Right? I'm digging that.
He says, my girlfriend, she was playing with 432 and 528 tuning forks. She rang them, and they stuck together like magnets. They wouldn't pull apart. Crazy, right? But what does it mean? Well, what it means is that they're in coherence, and like parts, that vibrate the same like that, they attract. That's how coalescence occurs of like substances. So that is the force that you experience there. It's wild, and it's all because they're analogous.
One's in coherence, one's in distortion, and that's what makes the opposites. This right here is how we're going through our solar system. You have the sun, and then each one of those is a pattern on the outside of it. What you'll find is the pattern at the very top of the longest elliptical orbit was actually, if I can do this, and I put this one back up, right there on your left, 432. The outside ring matches the actual orbit that it goes into. And where they come into a point like this, okay, at the bottom, this is what Sheila was trying to get to when she's making things that look like this, okay, is that's your geometry pattern. At the very bottom, you just move from that one to the next point to the next point, and it makes a geometrical pattern of what's going on. So when you see this, the reason they have extra energy is because the solar system itself is producing that energy at those frequencies based on how they move throughout the galaxy.
That's rad.
And that's what the ancient alchemists spent so much time on documenting, and not just alchemists, all the megalithic stone astral calendars, alignments, and architecture. It was all about measuring and watching that. And
that's right.
it.
And everything's in alignment with that. And that has a lot to do with just, you want to talk about like bringing into horoscopes and why you are the way that you are and setting salts and all that. Well, there you go. It all has to do with the energies that play at the time of your, prenatal development,
Well, it's you're saying coherence, distortion, that thing about the 432 and 444. If you see them as what creates the atoms to stick together, it's the coherence between them. It's all the like stuff, you know what I mean, when they get stuck together. But when you add distortion to it, you're pulling them apart, and you're allowing that energy to amplify inside there, but you're reducing the density of the object itself. That's the key to everything. That's why bridges go out of whack and funky with resonance, because you're creating that distortion within inside that pulls the atoms apart at the fundamental level. That's where resonance works. It's not the vibration on your table; it's right there.
Right, so right. Resonance in that context is reverberation, in that because it's not destructively interfering. It's falling in line with itself. Therefore, it's amplifying And once the
Yeah, but that's why it's sticking
amplitude of the
together.
amplification comes into play, that's all of a sudden, what's this turns into this, because that's the amplitude. That's exactly what amplitude is.
But that's the thing. To get anti-gravity, you're just short of pulling atoms apart. That's all you're doing is you're separating them at a distance so they can't create density. So when you pull them apart, they lose everything to the earth because they cannot hold it in. The energy's in a different place. It's no longer together where they cross the all the zones between them. They can't do it anymore, so they pull slightly apart. And once they do, it loses everything to the earth because it can no longer stay in that state. So you'll see bridges just go like this, man, and fly up and down, and then you'll see things just disintegrate.
Well, I mean, right, and what you said is actually pretty damn key, because that's entirely the point, is the bringing about of the great energy through the separation of differentials, right? So when you break apart the two things that usually melt together to cancel each other out, you break them apart, but then you bring them into a reverse flow with each other, non-deconstructively. All you get is the weird effects of it all. So then the gravity doesn't make sense. So then all of a sudden, yeah, now the amplitude can increase because the resistance isn't there. See, the resistance usually keeps it in check. But what's the resistance? The resistance is something of one kind banging into its opposite and going into a diffuse state. But once you've already separated out all the opposites, it has nothing of the opposite to bang up into. It's just running parallel to it. There you go. That's it. That's the chart. That's what you said. That's the whole 9 yards. That's the RAV, by the way. Which, by the way, I guess I want to put it out there now. We got 30 people on our channel watching, people on BurnEye's channel watching. We're doing our normal Friday show. And then I believe it's 9 or 10 o'clock my time. Not certain. Have to look. I'm going to be doing the recording, I hope, of the presentation of the RAV on the Demystify Sci channel, provided that my name gets picked out of a hat, because of evidently having an air produced in atmospheric pressure, self-contained cavitative resonant plasma, in order for you to say that in 60 seconds and have a shot at that audience, I need to leave it to luck and chance. But fuck it, that's the world, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I look forward to that opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, I look forward, and that's not a live thing, by the way. They pre-record that, so it won't air Friday night. But I'm just saying, imagine the world we live in, where that's what we have going on. We have the evidence of it all. We have all the video. We have the infrared data. We have all the waveforms that are slightly out of phase, ever so slightly. We have all the dimensionality circumstances at hand, and I have to have my name picked out of a hat. So that is what it is.
The way
But,
she goes. The way she goes.
It's the way she goes. And listen, I'm not bitter about the situation. I just think it's absurd.
I'm bitter about it. I'm bitter. Just like, come on, get this. Anyways.
Well, Lord willing, my name will get picked out of the hat. And then in 60 seconds, I will say the most convoluted thing that they've ever heard in their entire life, with all of the right buzzwords. And when they're like, huh, what? And they ask me about it, it's going to be like, oh, now we could talk in plain English. Perfect. Like, what do you want?
Pretty much.
I'm very excited about the RAV, man. That is the thing. That is the thing. I will tell you. I believe.
Yeah, well, I spent a lot of money, you know what I mean? Trying to get all the stuff.
John tried to get me on board with that. I'm like, bro, I'm going to stick to theory. Keep on sending me your data. I will analyze. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that sucker for things. I mean, build things all the time.
Oh, welcome to the world of self-funding.
Yeah,
is what it is.
So funny, man. How many coils can I sell to build more stuff in my garage? That's what it is.
Well, you find another person that could literally go through a video and then see something and be like, "Oh, that's not what it is. Let me look closer." And then you realize that your reflection lens flare builds up on the surface, just beneath the surface of the clay, and you could see it. And then as soon as the thing forms, it peels off of the clay in
Mhm.
3 dimensions. It literally peels off of the clay in 3 dimensions, and then maintains a relationship with the lens because that's how you can see it. But as soon as you look away a little bit or something like that, all of a sudden, the entire dimensionality of the object you're looking at shifts to its form in a 3 dimensional fashion with all the geometry that that's absolutely inverse of what you're looking at, with no mechanism of it being mirrored. It's absolutely wild. This is it.
Yeah,
This
I
is
know, I
it.
agree.
This is the goods.
Yeah, it's the next level stuff. And Sean says he's already got 2 next to each other, so I want to see how far he got with that.
Yeah, man. This is it. One more and we'll be, disappearing airliners.
Oh man.
Which, by the way, I didn't send you this picture, but on the Discord, Wahoo put up a post that was another Egyptian thing, and it was like an eagle, who had like 2 orbs in his talons,
Hmm.
and then 1 orb above his head. So in response to that, I sent him a picture of the jet with the 3 orbs around, and I was like, "See, you know what I mean? That's funny."
Nice.
I don't know. I have a terrible sense of humor.
Oh man. Yeah, well, I'll stay away from that one, man. Huh. Stay away from that war going on over there.
What war is that? What am I missing?
Oh, nothing. I don't even want to say it.
All right, that's fine. Tell for another day.
It's all good, man. Dude, it's been like 3.5 hours, man. I think we're about done here today. You guys got anything going on?
Well, I just got back from the trip. I'm trying to get myself organized and plan my attack for the next week. I've been shadow banned like really, really bad this time on YouTube,
Ooh.
and yeah, they're shoving it where the sun don't shine.
Huh. Wow. I'm surprised because you started that new project that you're working on.
Yep. Second I started that project, my yep, I got shadow banned
Wow.
big time. Yeah, I lost about 70,000 views. Yeah,
Really?
yep, in about 1 week.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, they just butchered me. So
Huh.
I'm trying to figure out how to get it back. So
I just keep dropping those shorts, man. Those short little videos. They
well,
like those.
normally that helps, but this time, nope. The algorithm's not having it.
Nothing, huh?
Nope.
I'm
You
sorry,
could-
Mike.
Yeah, you can always go into the little AI thing that's in your backstage and ask them,
Yep.
hey, did something go on with my channel or what? Because I'm losing views. Sometimes they'll, if you find a nice person, they'll turn it back on.
Yeah, maybe I'll try that.
Yeah, they
See
do it
what
for
happens.
certain videos and stuff. If you have something that just goes up and up and up and then falls off a cliff, I
Yeah.
mean, something happened in their algorithm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like every single one of my videos. It's kind of strange.
I'm there with you guys, man. My views went. As soon as
Yeah,
I
the second I start, after the first week I start doing the Howard Johnson thing, boom, right off a cliff.
Yeah, there's definitely throttling going on. I mean, if Bernie's channel is a prime example of throttling, I mean, It's wild, man. You've had the same number of subs and shit, but
For
over a year.
4 years. 4 years.
That's crazy.
Oh, they love you, Bernie. They love you.
Oh yes.
And not for anything, for the topics that we're covering, especially on this channel, and I'm not saying that doesn't apply to you guys too, but like for the stuff that we're covering, I mean, this is stuff that like other content creators, have a lot of the same subject matter, but none of the same information on, and they'll get views all day. So I don't really know.
Yeah, all
You
the
know what?
bullshit videos.
I do, because the other creators, they put out disinformation and when the rare times that they do actually do builds and experiments, they intentionally reproduce it wrong so it doesn't work, and they somehow get hundreds of thousands and millions of subscribers,
Yeah,
and
that's
also
right.
get all of the advertisement funding as well behind them, and it's like, I wonder why.
They like pushing the bullshit.
Hey, we should all become bullshit artists, shave our beards, put on a suit, and start, just give them the gibberish. Like, just give them all the math gibberish, everything. Just do full on guess it all the way through the whole thing like they do, and just use the same triangles and squares for the math, and people will be
We'll just all turn into electro boom, and we'll just like start frying ourselves every time we do a video.
Well, listen, if you're a putz about it, every time you fry yourself, you go, don't, like Homer Simpson. You know what I mean? Like,
right?
That's perfect. Then you're in the club.
But that's like the prime example. How does a guy that still hasn't figured out how to not shock himself, right? Like to this day, when he's been doing it for 10 years straight, how is he the authority of what to do? It's like, that's literally the example of what not to do. But, it's...
All right, listen, I'm going to say it. At 3 hours and 33 minutes, into this, and I'm reluctant to say it, but I'm going to. There's certain big names out there, and I'm not going to name names, who I appreciate the content in which they create, no matter how I feel about them particularly, right? Who are literally, have the answers, and we know that they have the answers, and they're putting the carrot at the end of the string, and just literally having everybody chase that carrot to keep that money coming. And I'm going to say it because at the end of the day, the entire thing's been proven out. That person has seen it. That person will not talk about it or show it, and they've seen it with their eyeballs, and they realize something is that some mysteries are just great as mysteries, because mysteries and asking the questions keeps the donations coming. So keep the donations coming. Keep it coming.
And
why not
give out useful, actionable information ever?
That's it. Well, no, it's not even that, because you know what? The information is relevant many times. Related.
But is it actionable?
But it shows nothing. Ever.
Exactly. Not
shows
actionable.
nothing ever. It's a whole bunch of words written by somebody with no anything to show it. And when it's shown, well, that kind of ruins it for you, doesn't it? Because now what are you going to do? Just talk about how it's a conspiracy? Well, everybody knows it's a fucking conspiracy. Like, that's, we'll add that to the list. You know what I mean? Of other conspiracies and shit. Who cares? But the mystery of it and pursuing the science, well, that makes money. So, keep on booyahing and yahtseeing all you fucking want. Because guess what? We said we had it, we showed it to you, and crickets. So
I got an idea.
Booyah!
We'll make a redneck hydrogen collider. We'll just shoot basketballs around something, man, and call it a collider. Maybe play some Pong in there or something, and we'll make some money. and we'll just
A
stand in the
redneck
center
reactor.
and then disappear and reappear as a monster or something and run out. Dude, it'd be great.
God, yes.
Redneck
Yes.
reactor. Just fill up a balloon with hydrogen and just let it off.
Oh yeah. We could do people on the roof, man, putting green goo and throwing it at us. Oh yeah, it'd be perfect. Yeah, create everything out of there.
There's so many bad
I-
things that I could say that I'm not gonna.
Yeah, because we
Oh,
focus on
man.
getting to the bottom of the mysteries. And there was comment about atmospheric electricity, and I just wanted to end with this one as I got to get going soon. But this is a classic here. If you want to pull it up, Nathan.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have well, look at that. At a time they're supposed to not know about electricity, they're measuring and documenting how you get the atmospheric differentials and the strength of it. And then it's like, what do we have going on right here? And it's very, very interesting, the coded information you get. And this is from a 1500s French or German science book, I believe.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
Bernie, you want something interesting? Look up the St. Louis Arch, the weather patterns before it, and then after it.
I believe that. All right. I got my homework.
That's it. It's blow your mind, man.
I'll look forward to it. Much love. Appreciate all of you, and we'll see you again soon.
Oh, brother.
Y'all catch you later, Bernie.
yep. Take care.
So, Mike, you doing your show on Friday?
Yep. Yep. As normal. 9:00 Eastern, 6:00 Pacific. And yeah, we'll be doing our usual shenanigans. We should have everybody.
You should
back.
have seen it one night, Joe. We made the space station into a 7-Eleven.
Oh yeah, he missed
Oh,
that.
That
Oh,
episode
that
was
was
the
an
best, dude.
Oh man, I'm upset that I missed that. I'm gonna have to look back. When was that? 2 weeks
That
ago?
was
That
a
was
couple
what?
months ago.
No,
A month ago? Oh shit.
no, it's longer than that. It was almost a year ago we did that.
Yeah, maybe it was. Maybe like 5
Yeah, it
months
was a
ago.
year ago. Yeah,
Was it a year?
What?
Yeah, I think closer to a year ago. Yeah.
Well, I think we might need to do that again, just for
Oh, dude, we were
nostalgia
shooting.
purposes.
Yeah, we have to
shooting
stick.
bombs with the Earth.
We have to stick Gerald in the rubber room.
Hey
Oh,
man.
He loses his shit and you throw him in there.
Hey, well, listen. Well, the topic is hot, and I know that we haven't wrapped up yet. But Nathan, if you want to drop the Discord again in the chat for anybody that wants to join, I mean, it's already kind of a little bit late here, but after we wrap up here, I'll hop on there. Any discussions you guys want to have, amongst yourselves, or if you have any questions for me, I'll hop on there for a little bit. If there were any pressing thoughts or things that you wanted to talk about, on the Alpha Omega, make myself available for that for a little bit.
right on. Oh man.
I'll be cooking dinner, but you'll deal. I mean, it's like 8:40 here, so you're gonna deal.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, same time here. Yeah, I had a great trip in Alberta, and I'll talk about that Friday night as well. I had some interesting experiences climbing up the dunes there in the Alberta Badlands. I was getting electrostatic shocks like you wouldn't believe going up the mountain.
Keep that.
Right on, man.
And I had rubber shoes, I had rubber soles on. I was still getting lifters.
You couldn't avoid it, huh?
No, I was swimming through it.
Wow.
With the dryness, because the dryness of the air, and then you got all that rock formations with all that crystallization and all the different layers, and God knows there could have been friggin' uranium in there for all I know. No, I'm dead serious. Like, we're talking some ancient rocks here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're talking like we're going back 65 million years of history in these rock formations. Yeah, because a lot of the dinosaurs were at that museum were pulled out of that rock formation that I was climbing up.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Did they have like a
Yeah,
museum there with all that?
yeah. It's called the Terrell Museum. It's about an hour and a half northwest of Calgary, and it's to date it's probably the best dinosaur museum hands down that I've ever been to.
Nice.
And
Really cool.
I've seen a few. Yeah, kick ass, man. 2 stories of incredible fossils and anything you can imagine, they had it there. It's pretty incredible stuff.
Now, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that Alberta is where you went, right? So,
Yeah,
like those areas where you're just talking about, like the oldest like geometric formation. It's all like the western end of the Canadian Shield,
right.
and where all that exposure is. There's a lot of calcitic dolomite.
Yeah.
And why that's significant is how it's structured. And I want to take a moment to actually delve there because it's really, really
I could
fascinating.
I could feel the energy there, like literally climbing up that side of that dune. The hair on my arms was standing straight up, and then I walk up 3 or 4 steps. I touch the banister. They had like a banister going up the side of the mountain. I touch it and whack, get zapped.
Wow.
So check this out. So the primary formation that's there of all that earliest sediment, right?
Right.
That's solidified. Um, it's very, very, very porous, and it's very, very, very soluble. Okay, under certain circumstances. Okay, and the certain
Right.
circumstances part is critical because what ends up happening is as the time goes on, and that was actually below at one time, right? There's
Right.
a lot of different solutions that were actually fully permeating that surface. Okay, and in certain instances, you'd have a decalcification of that porous structure, leaving just the dolomite. The dolomite itself resonates at a very certain frequency that actually leads to, unusual deposition of other elements and crystals, right? Which is why you have a lot of ore that comes out of there, like you said. And when I say unusual, I mean
Yeah.
you nailed it with uranium. I mean that's primary,
Yeah.
a number one thing that's sort of there, but that comes along with a lot of other stuff. But you got to remember that these elements, especially the radioactive ones, are simply higher energy forms of more depleted versions.
Right.
Gold being one of them, but lead
Yeah.
being another, right?
Probably tritium is in there too.
Tritium, you're right. So whenever you have these energetic depositions that occur within a porous substrate, your secondary depositions that occur with it, that would be your more common depositions, don't form in the same ways, and they form in coherence with their environment, being the radioactive environment. Um,
Right.
so what ends up happening is you have anomalous reconstruction of otherwise common crystal forms that have entirely different attributes to that which you're typically used to, and when formed in conjunction with all these other modes of energy production and output, they basically hold in the chaotic state in which they are formed, meaning that like even stuff that would normally be irradiated in normal circumstance, like quartz, okay, could ultimately hold like an internal radioactive charge that doesn't necessarily manifest the way that we're used to in terms of outward radiation, which means that you could have lattice structures that are aligned with that have entirely different attributes than a perfectly clear piece of like simple quartz, for instance. So it's something to bear in mind about that particular region. That's what's been going on there because that is, like you said, the oldest rock on Earth but it's also been the most long-term exposed
Right.
to environmental atmospheric differential as well. It's been here for a very long time above the ocean, is what I'm saying. Right. So it's something to bear in mind. You know, it's weird. It's weird
Well,
stuff.
if you ever get a chance, like I was stupid me, I should have brought my Geiger counter with me, but I don't know how that would fly going through airport security.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean,
even though
honestly,
that it was
it's on an international flight. I mean, you know, like
like even though
you got
it's
to
a
put it in
domestic
checking.
flight, right?
Oh, good thing you weren't hiding the rocks in your ass, man. It'd be going off all day.
Really?
You go to the airport and it's like guy
Sir,
right over by your butt.
Yeah, it's like, sir, your package is like hot. Oh my god.
You gotta love if it
Well,
accidentally like flipped in on your check-in, it'd be like that like Chernobyl sound, like you know.
just put an AM radio beside it and listen to all the crackling noise happening on it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so great.
But like the one I have is like, you know, a little bit smaller than a cell phone, right? But it works. It can pick up radiation, right? So I should have brought it. Stupid me. Now I regret not bringing it.
Well, I
That
love
would have
that you
been
got together with
interesting.
Bernie, man. That was awesome. And
Yeah, it was cool, man. It was really cool going up there. Not just like, you know, it's just the whole experience of going through the, you know, Banff and all the mountain range. I've seen mountains before, but not like this. Like this, you know, whole new level of huge, right? And the
awesome.
water was mind blowing. Water doesn't even look real.
Welcome to America, Albertans. Keep on pushing.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
Yeah.
Once you take away all their resources, they're gonna come with you.
Our prime minister's doing a freaking stellar job, isn't he?
I can't even keep track of it anymore, man, because I stopped feeling
The
bad
level
for
of-
you once you had the opportunity to get rid of Trudeau, and then you just replaced it with Trudeau.
The level of stupid is just you know, beyond comprehension.
Yeah, you're on
Yeah.
par with California. We keep getting rid of the morons to hire bigger morons.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly it. Yep. Hire a moron. We got plenty of them.
I don't know. I keep on seeing these like Al Barry cartoons, man. Which are, if you've never seen Al Barry, you gotta look that up. It's dead on. It's so funny. It's all political stuff, but you know they talk about Gavin Newsom all the time, and you know it's hilarious. Him and like Maxine Waters sitting there and like it's all talking back and forth. He's like, well, I have all the experience to run for president in 2028. He's like, I run the fourth largest economy in the world. It's like into the ground, but I run. He's like, it basically runs itself.
Well, dude,
He's like, this isn't a good look. How am I going to explain this? I ruined it. You know, it basically runs itself, and I ruined it.
In Ontario, in Ontario, I feel like it's a goddamn free fall.
oh, dude, we got a congressman that slept with a spy for quite a long time. Little Feng Feng action going on there.
Well,
and then, dude, he rips a big
the
old
Chinese spy.
Yeah,
the
dude,
Chinese.
He did, and then he just ripped a big old fart in Congress, dude. It's like, you know, he's talking like all nonchalant, and all of a sudden, right out of his ass, dude, loud as hell. And it's like, dude, that's what we have to be proud of in California. We got a guy that fucking goes to the spy and then busts ass in the fucking Congress.
Well, Nathan, you know why he farted, don't you?
Oh man,
Because he didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't know that. He might have given it a shit, but he probably kept it on the down low, you know?
Yeah, he probably held it in, waddled to the bathroom. Wore the brown pants that day.
Nathan, learn to swim, brother. Learn to swim.
Wow, not in that pile of dew. I just think it's funny, dude. I don't care what side you're on. You bust ass in Congress, dude. You deserve to get laughed at forever.
Yeah, truth. All right, on that note, folks, I'm going to be bidding you adieu.
See you guys.
And I'm going
Yeah.
to cook some dinner, and I'll see you at Discord.
All right, guys. I just want to say real quick before we take off, thank you, Ulysses, for 5 Old Man Bill's memberships. I want to thank you very much, man. You're awesome, brother. Thank you guys for hanging out with us in the chat, man. And it's been a long show, and you guys are right there with us the whole way. So thank you very much, and everybody have a great night.
Peace and love.
Cheers, guys.
The old man Bill. The old man Bill. The old man Bill. The old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put him in the red. Where conscious and spirituality been stricken from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds.